Hello, and welcome to this podcast on hydrogen. We're coming to you from Treaty 6 territory here in the Edmonton metropolitan region. Today, we're talking with Matti Malka-mäki, founder, vice president, business development and financing at Hycamite TCD Technologies. I'm Chris McLeod with Edmonton Global, and I'm also joined by Brent Lakeman, our director of the Hydrogen Initiative here at Edmonton Global. Edmonton Global is a regional economic development organization, and we serve the 14 municipalities that make up the Edmonton metropolitan region. Our purpose is to radically transform and grow the economy of the Edmonton metropolitan region, and there may be no better opportunity to do that than with hydrogen. So again, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get started. Matti, welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Can you tell us just a little bit about Hycamite?
Yeah, sure. So Hycamite is a relatively young startup. We are about a bit less than 4 years old. We are commercializing technology that has been originally researched in one of the universities here in Finland, in Oulu. And what we do is methane splitting. Some call it methane pyrolysis. So we take methane molecules like from natural gas, biogas, and so forth, and we can split that methane molecule into its elements, solid carbon and hydrogen. And the solid carbon can then be utilized further in battery industry and so forth, and the hydrogen obviously in decarbonizing industry. So that's in a short.
Okay, wonderful. And are you at commercially viable? Do you have facilities up and running?
We have been operating a pilot plant now for a little bit more than 2 years. We have conducted more than 550, 600 test runs with it, so that we are quite certain that the technology works. We are already shipping the carbon all the way down to Japan and so forth.
Oh, wow.
And now we are building industrial scale demonstration unit that will have a capacity of 2,000 tons of hydrogen per year and 6,000 tons of carbon per year.
Oh, that's really amazing. So, Brent, when you listen to Matti talk about what they're doing, what their technology is, and that they really are at a viable stage right now, and you've got more understanding, I think, of what's going on across the Edmonton region and hydrogen probably than anyone. How do you see this fitting into what's happening right now, especially this idea of companies from around the world coming in to set up, innovation and facilities?
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. And this technology is one that the world is watching as well. So we're seeing a lot of interest in this methane splitting technology. And Edmonton region, this is such a good fit for this region. We are the center of Canada's hydrogen economy. I think there's growing recognition now that, most of the hydrogen being produced in Canada is really coming certainly out of Alberta and really from this region, the Edmonton metropolitan region. So, we have that long history of using hydrogen, probably 70 years worth of history across our industrial sectors, and more sectors now looking at Edmonton as a place to decarbonize. So when we start to think about the industrial applications for methane splitting technologies, this is where you're going to see so much of that taking place. So we're so excited to hear about Hycamite and their plans and how this region can be a good fit for them. So, we feel a very strong fit. And that combined with the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub, Canada's first and largest hydrogen hub, really provides that ecosystem that we need to have to support companies like Hycamite moving forward, looking at new uses for hydrogen, opening up new demand areas, whether it's industrial, transportation related. There's going to be a whole range of areas now where the Hycamite technology could be used across our region and certainly, across global sectors as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, just your point about how central the Edmonton region is right now to the hydrogen economy. So we're really seeing this massive shift to net zero with our region because of what's happening with just the gigantic amounts of methane that we have, our carbon sequestration ability, and I think too just the environment of collaboration that's forming. So Matti, just to bring this back to you, you're looking around the world for where to expand, and right now you're looking really seriously at Canada and in particular the Edmonton region. So what are you looking for, either in terms of that partner network, the supply chain, like what makes a location right for you?
Oh, this is a very good question. Thank you. You can think about methane splitting as a technology that is for rapid decarbonization. So if you do hydrogen with an SMR, steam methane reformation, and then you start making a blue hydrogen from that one, taking the carbon, the CO2 out of it. And then in that kind of processes, you need to have the CO2 infrastructure. In our case, the carbon is solid. So, I mean, we can locate our plant next to a customer that wants to have the hydrogen, and then we can ship or use trucks to take the carbon somewhere else, and then really have like a rapid decarbonization available for this company that is using natural gas now and then hydrogen in the future. But obviously, this is a new technology. The whole clean transition to low carbon fuels and so forth, that requires some support mechanisms and so forth. So practically what we are seeking for are those customers that want to decarbonize themselves, have the access for the methane infrastructure, i.e. natural gas, and do benefit from making their products low carbon. And when we've had a look on Canada as a market for us. So Alberta and Edmonton area, obviously they are quite key in that sense, exactly like Brent said. So there's a lot of hydrogen being produced there. There's a existing infrastructure. There are people that know what it is, when you work with hydrogen and so forth. So it's not like a completely new technology. It's known because hydrogen, the safety factors, for example, related to hydrogen are completely different from some other fuels and this way. So you need to have that labor, those people, those skilled people that know what to do with what it's like to work with hydrogen. You need to have the infrastructure so that you can get components, because what we want to do is that we actually build these units where the sites will be, so that we need to have local partners that are able to make those plants there and service them and all this kind of stuff. So we are just providing from Finland the know-how and the catalyst know-how, especially related to carbon and so forth. So that's practically what we need for. So we need people, we need customers, and we need the methane infrastructure. So that is the key, and some supporting mechanism for boosting up the business.
I think, it makes perfect sense then that our region is the place to do it, because all the things you just mentioned, we have here. We've got at least 20 years of experience in hydrogen. We've got, the world's largest hydrogen pipeline. We've got the world's largest carbon pipeline. We've got, I think, 5 of the world's biggest carbon sequestration projects already, underway here. We've got millions of tons of carbon that have already been sequestered to really prove out this piece. So Brent, I think as you hear Matti talk about this, what ideas does it spark?
Oh, I get really excited, particularly when I hear about that whole supply chain that needs to be in place, whether it's the labor, the workforce. We actually just completed a workforce study on the hydrogen economy and recognizing, generally we're pretty well off. We've got a good, talented workforce that's come out of the oil and gas sector historically, and many of those same skill sets will be quite valuable. But not only there, let's think about the infrastructure. Let's think about the manufacturing that we have. We have all of this engineering, manufacturing capability in this region that, again, comes out of our strong track record since the 1940s in oil and gas. But now so much of that is now beginning to pivot towards the clean energy opportunities, and this one in particular. So I think it is a great opportunity to really leverage all that infrastructure, those skills that we have, and then really the industrial base that we have as well. Not just the chemical facilities, but let's think about the building sector as well. When we look at the uses for this byproduct from the Hycamite process, that this could be a great place to begin trialing those products, very similar to what we're also seeing in bitumen beyond combustion. So this whole new area opening up that Hycamite can be part of.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we look at some of what's happening here, and of course, industry is really the biggest driver. Almost all of the hydrogen produced right now is being used by industry. But we've got things like the 5,000 vehicle challenge underway, where our goal is to have 5,000 hydrogen fueled or dual fueled vehicles on the road within the next 5 years. Although now I think it's 4.5 years. That clock's ticking. We've got partners like ATCO and Qualico building a net zero hydrogen community just in the east of our region in Bremner. We've got some really interesting things happening on transport, on heating, in industry. Do you play in all those spaces, Matti, or is it primarily industry you're looking at?
Primarily industry. So we are as a technology, we are a little bit like SMR. So that the SMRs can produce about 95% hydrogen mixture easily, and that is exactly the same for us. So our hydrogen methane ratio in our products is about 95% hydrogen, and the remaining part is methane. If you want to go for transportation and start using fuel cells and so forth, you need to use PSA technologies or something similar in order to boost up the hydrogen part, so that you are cleaning it to be very much purified hydrogen, if you will. And then, of course, after that one comes the compression. We can do that. It's not about it, but I think that the biggest decarbonization, so to say, yields that you are getting are from industry, and this is in our mission statement. We decarbonize industry, so that's what we want to do, and that's where we are heading. We were talking now about that what Edmonton has and what Alberta has us to provide to us, but can we also talk about some development things that what we also need
please.
there?
Please, now you got me curious. What do you want to talk about?
So overall, hydrogen business is a regulated market. I mean, we need to have regulation in place so that people are calculating the carbon intensity of the hydrogen and how it can be used for making, for example, new advanced fuels or something like that one. The problem we have in the regulation, and this is not only in Canada, but also elsewhere, like, for example, here in Europe, is that the regulation lags behind. So we, for some reason, in quite many places, the politicians are making the regulation so that it is technology oriented. So that, okay, you have this blue hydrogen or green hydrogen type of prospects there, and the regulation is being made for those technologies. But really, I think that the whole regulation should be technology neutral, because if we have a look now that we want to be carbon neutral by 2050, that's 25 years ahead. So if you then look backwards and think that, okay, what kind of technologies we had 25 years ago? I mean, it's quite certain that in 25 years we are producing hydrogen with such technologies or treating it with such technologies that don't exist now. And if our regulation hinders that development, then it makes no good for anyone. And at the moment, we are seeing that there are some hydrogen production methods, like, for example, the methane splitting, that only falls like partially in the regulation in Canada. There's some others that actually are not even recognized. And this is something that I think that we should change, not only in Canada, but also elsewhere, like in Europe as well. But there, I think that Canada still has something to do, and we are quite active on that one, so that we are working for protocols in Alberta and so forth. And I think that actually will benefit, especially Alberta area, quite a lot.
Are you hearing similar things, Brent?
Yeah, and I think, again, like some of our hydrogen attributes we have in the region, it really comes from our access to low-cost natural gas. So that same natural gas is very important for your technology. So we have I guess a vested interest in making sure we can do this right. And I see it as a bit of the ongoing evolution of just how we produce energy. And there's going to be always new technologies, new ways to use the core resource like natural gas and do it in a truly decarbonized way using these types of technologies. So I think we've got a track record of doing that in Alberta. And I also think this technology area around gas splitting, methane splitting, or pyrolysis, whatever the terminology we want to use, there's a number of companies that are all advancing technologies in this area, some from Edmonton, some from other parts of Alberta, other parts of Canada, and other parts of the world. So I think we're seeing it really coming together, that this is a hot topic that we really got to put our effort around to make sure we get it right, because it can be a game changer in so many ways.
Yeah, I think just to add into that, if we wait for a perfect solution, we're going to be really slow. And one of the things that that you can do, and some of the other projects that are here can do, is really do hydrogen that's net zero or very close to net zero at a global scale. And isn't it better to get it moving quickly, help the industry adapt to this, have vehicles and homes and industry really moving to net zero, rather than saying it's the color is exactly what matters. What matters is getting to net zero and really putting a big pause on the climate crisis, not picking one technology. So I think it's an outstanding point.
And I think having nimble technology is one that can
absolutely.
actually get up and running relatively quickly. We know it takes a long time. It takes a long time to do carbon capture and storage, to get these projects up and running. They're tremendous projects with massive greenhouse gas sequestration potential, but they do take a bit of time in the planning cycle. And I think some of these technologies can be maybe sometimes more nimble and at least get things moving and then growing over time.
Well, and it's when we talk to other investors, we often hear what's really needed from a regulatory perspective is predictability, transparency, and to let you move at speed. So I think that's basically what you're saying, Matti, is those three things. If Canada can get that right, not only will investment come, but we're going to help make the world a better place.
Correct. That's exactly so. And regarding when you mentioned about the carbon neutrality, that what we need to seek for, we need to remember that being neutral doesn't mean that everything is neutral. I mean, there are still some carbon emissions that we are getting from some parts of the industry. So we need to ensure that those new technologies, like for example ours, can also be carbon negative. So there are possibilities or ways that how we can actually make the methane splitting being carbon negative. We are running the pilot plant now here in Finland with the biogas, and that means that our carbon footprint for the hydrogen is minus 2.75 kilos per kilogram of hydrogen. So that's something that you should seek for from these new technologies.
Yeah, that's a great point. Can we talk just a little bit about the carbon that's coming out? So, I mean, the hydrogen makes great sense. It's what we're primarily focused on. But what's the quality of and kind of the, is it nanotubes? Is it a dust, like a very fine particulate? What's the carbon look like?
The carbon that what we are producing is carbon nanofibers. So it's nanoproducts all the time. So we don't make any carbon black. Okay. That's like a dust, and you have only limited markets for that one. But we are making carbon nanofibers, and those are actually something that you can use in some of the materials already, like directly from the reactor. You just perhaps clean it and then that's it, off you go. But it is also, for example, a precursor for graphite. So we can make synthetic graphite out of it. And as we know, the graphite is now strategic and critical material in both Canada, USA, and Europe. And the only country that would actually provides graphite in a large scale at the moment is China. And they're already curbing down the exports. So there we can help also other industries to be more local, more independent from any external, how to say, features. Difficult to say politically correct way, that one. but anyway, so that we need to ensure that those other technologies and other industries can also prosper from our carbon. And we have at the moment, I think something like 20 different applications that we are working with different companies on that. So the carbon actually is really important part of our business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, you think about how much the world is spending on battery production and figuring out supply chain. And if you've got high quality, graphite, there's also some projects turning graphite into graphene. I know with us, we've got the Leduc Formation, basically in our region, is being mined for lithium. We've got cobalt facilities being built. So there's a lot happening around the world. But if there's some really easy access to graphene, or graphite, that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing changes in global supply chains, whether it's how we produce products that now need to be decarbonized in the future, very large industrial processes that are coming towards the hydrogen potentially, but also again these products like graphite that again we want to have a more secure supply chains within North America. So I see just huge opportunities opening up in the next several years.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, wonderful. So Brent, I mean, this sounds, and Matti, this sounds a bit like a match made in heaven. It's a really good fit. I wonder, again, we're already working with Matti and the team a bit. Can you just talk a bit about maybe some of the supports we're bringing to the table? Not just from Matti, but if there's others from Finland or Norway or other places that are watching, what can they expect? How can we help?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one is just we really try and make sure our whole investment attraction ecosystem is aligned. So I know organizations like Invest Alberta Corporation have also been working with Hycamite. So really working closely with those groups. And then within our own region, we represent 14 municipalities. So we have, access to all of those experts within the municipalities around what each has to offer. And as a company like Hycamite or any company looks to actually establish a presence, we can make sure we have the best fit within our municipal ecosystem. And that all goes at the federal level as well through organizations like Invest in Canada. So we all try and work together around these opportunities. But maybe more importantly, also, once we identify this region, we can help identify some of the industries that could work with companies to advance their projects, whether it's more work on the technology commercialization, sites for field trials. That's where we can come in and make some connections as well. And I just want to really highlight Alberta's innovation ecosystem, really important for this technology. Again, several companies advancing technologies in this area. So, through the the Hydrogen Center of Excellence, organized through Alberta Innovates, there is supports in place, $50 million worth of funding, so we can help identify, where there may be a good fit for some of these research and innovation ecosystem projects that could be supported through the Center of Excellence. We have labs in this region, federal labs, provincial labs, all for applied research. So again, helping make those connections to that research infrastructure within this region. And just continuing to also make sure we have things like the workforce in place, make sure we have all that data that companies need when they want to locate here, so they really understand what we bring to the table.
Yeah, and our post-secondary system too, which is really world-leading in a lot of this area. Matti, how's that lining up with what your experience so far has been in investigating our region? I mean, you haven't announced anything here yet. We're certainly hoping that we can do the work to woo you. But is it, are you getting what you need, and any feedback that might be valuable to others in similar situations to you, looking at where to invest in the country?
Well, first of all, we are very pleased and happy with the collaboration with Edmonton Global and everybody in Edmonton. I mean, we just love it. So there's no bad words about that one. Just the opposite.
That's good. That's good. That would have.
Yeah. But related to announcements, I mean, we are definitely working on some projects there, and we do want to. We are also having a couple of partners in Alberta area where we are developing that and seeing that how we could start moving forward. But for us, really the key is the regulation. So that before you have the regulation in place, there's actually very limited that you can do. So what we are doing now is that we are, as I said, so that we are working on this protocol paper. In Alberta, we are trying to influence the federal level regulation. So we have people in Ottawa area working for us in that sense. We are developing the project so that we are seeing that once our hydrogen is part of the regulation in Alberta, so that we then have projects that are almost shovel ready. So definitely we are working. And I hope that in the course of next year we can also open a subsidiary in Edmonton. So that is something that what we have already decided that this is like the location where we are going. So working on it.
Wonderful. I think we're not pushing, just to try to get a sense of where you're at, and again, mostly for others around the world that are looking.
Yeah,
give a bit of a sense that this is a place that really is welcoming to foreign investment, is looking for international partners, and really trying to welcome you into our ecosystem. Whether you're, a major player like an Air Products or a Linde, or someone who's really developing innovative and highly needed products like you guys are. I know you've been here before. You've got some family that live here. I think you came to the Canadian Hydrogen Convention last year. I think we're hoping you'll come back this year. Can you? And I know you and I also had coffee at Gas Tech in Singapore in September.
Yes, we did.
Can you talk just a little bit about coming to Edmonton? Maybe give a bit of a pitch for others from Finland or Scandinavia about the Canadian Hydrogen Convention and just the value of seeing what else is happening.
Sure. So actually, we have been in the Canadian Hydrogen Convention already 2 times. So the first time we came there was 2022, and then we won the Innovation Award from that one. So it was really like that. Oh wow! this feels, of course, winning something is always good, but in this case, I mean, we started to think that okay, people here really understand that what this methane splitting can be, because typically in Europe, where that time everything was only like about the green hydrogen and all the others were rubbish. Now it's changed here a little bit, but in Alberta, in Edmonton, the people already knew that okay, this kind of technologies you need. I mean, there are several others, but also so that they did understand that okay, you need to have the low carbon intensity in your product, and with this kind of technology, you can do it, and that's all that matters, not the color of the hydrogen, but the emissions. And the industry, I mean, Heartland and all the industry that you have there, I mean, it felt like home already. So we decided that we will have someone else then speaking on the following year. So this year, one of team members from my team, Miss Salamari Marttinen, was speaking there about the LCA emissions, because we had the LCA calculations done for our hydrogen. So we demonstrated those there. Nina Grönqvist was one of the founders, was also the technical committee for that last event. I am actually now the technical committee member of the next year's hydrogen convention. I have some homework to do this weekend here. So reading those papers through, and our CEO, Miss Laura Rahika, is part of the jury. So we are definitely coming there. So don't worry about that one. And I would love to see some more people from Finland also coming there. And I've been promoting the event here quite a lot. So I really do hope that there are more people from Europe coming to Edmonton this spring.
Well, thanks so much. And we'd love to have more people here. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about that convention, Brent?
Well, yeah, and I just want to highlight this is a global event. I know it's called the Canadian Hydrogen Convention, but we have over 40 countries represented at this event, and it's just continuing to grow at a phenomenal rate. So so happy that Hycamite really led the way in one of those early leading companies looking to come into to this conference to learn more and share their technology, share their approach with others. And that's what it's all about. It's about learning and sharing results and growing companies. So I think organizations come away from this conference really with a much stronger sense of what can happen, certainly in the Edmonton region, across Canada, but whether it's North America or globally. So we do see it truly as a global event. So, if you're from anywhere in Europe, we want to make sure you're aware of all the exciting work taking place here. And again, where it says agnostic on colors of hydrogen, it's all about the leading technologies, a strong technical program, a strong plenary program as well. And of course, exciting site tours, with all the exciting activities taking place within the Edmonton region, vehicles, some of the stationary deployments we're going to be seeing as well that could be very interesting. So it's a great place to come and learn more about what's happening.
Yeah, completely agree. So Matti, I think we're gonna wrap up here pretty quickly. So just wondering, can you share kind of any thoughts or things that you want to make sure that the audience listening either knows about Hycamite or technology, or just anything you'd like to kind of use as a closing comment?
Well, as a closing comment, I would like everyone to forget the colors. I mean, if you're talking about the hydrogen, you should talk about numbers and talk about the way that with hydrogen you can decarbonize industry and decarbonize other things. Because, I mean, in reality, nobody wants to use hydrogen unless you are getting some benefits from it. And the benefit that you're getting from hydrogen is that its possibility to decarbonize industry or transportation or something like that one with the hydrogen. And therefore, we should focus on lifetime emissions of producing the hydrogen. And that's something that I would like to see everywhere in the regulation, in the media, in the people's talks, so that instead of saying colors that actually just mean that, okay, how you are producing the hydrogen, we should talk about numbers. Yeah. How many kilotons of hydrogen with what kind of carbon footprint? And this is something that I really would like to see in the near future.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Brent, any closing thoughts from you?
No, totally agree with that comment. There's so many innovations taking place here, and I think we have a strong track record in this province and in Canada around that regulatory supports, and in some ways, very similar to some European approaches, whether it's Finland or other parts of Europe. And that's, I think, what also sets Canada apart. Maybe compared to looking at the United States, where we have that history, that culture around making sure we do this properly with strong regulations, proper incentives, and so on.
Yeah, thanks so much. Again, totally agree. So, Matti, again, just want to say thanks so much for joining us. We're huge fans of your work, really admire what Hycamite's doing. We'd love to have you, in our community on a longer term once everything's ready. And we will really work in the background on this regulation piece. We've been on this for quite a while and we'll continue. There's a real desire inside Canada and inside Alberta and our region to be global leaders in this. And having Hycamite as part of this is absolutely one of our goals, because you truly are a world leader in developing this new economy. So again, thanks so much for being here. And we'll see you in the spring in April at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention. And it sounds like you're almost your whole team, which is amazing. So for anyone else who wants more information, please visit Edmonton Global's website. We've got lots of information about the Canadian Hydrogen Convention, about investing here in the Edmonton region. If you're interested in what Hycamite's up to, please visit their website. Matti and his team are just really outstanding people, easy to talk to, quick to answer questions. So if you need something from them, I know that you and your team are really, really accessible. So again, thanks so much. And thanks everybody for joining us.